This is a production of Cornell University.
Thank you, Dan. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. My title says Potato Variety Diversity, Attributes and Farmers' Needs in Ethiopia. Probably most of you know where Ethiopia is. Ethiopia is, or the former name Abyssinia. It is a center of diversity of more than 16 crops, like sorghum, teff, nug, like that. It is a center of diversity of more than 16 crops in the world. But potato is not endemic to Ethiopia. It is believed that it is originated or introduced about 150 years ago. So this green shaded area is very suitable for potato production. It is estimated about 3 million hectares. So probably Ethiopia has possibly the highest potential of potato production in sub-Saharan Africa. So the trend also, the potato acreage expansion also shows that in 1970s, potato production was 30,000 hectares. But in 2014, it was 179,000 hectares. It is about 6-fold increment. This is because potato is a very good food security crop because it is early maturing, high yield, and it is good for food in Ethiopia. However, the productivity of potato is decreasing through time. Nowadays, it is about 10 tons per hectare when compared with 40 tons per hectare. When we compare North American productivity, Ethiopian potato productivity is about 9 tons per hectare. It is very, very small. And even the productivity will be decreased even further because of these problems. Drought is aggravated through time. Late blight, especially the main potato disease in Ethiopia, is devastating and aggravated through time. And depletion of soil fertility because of soil erosion is aggravated. So these problems also really make potato crop decreasing even further. The Ethiopian Agricultural Research System established especially the potato program established in 1975, and to increase the productivity of the crop, released 31 new potato varieties with assumption that local varieties are low yielding and they have narrow genetic base. And with assumption that these improved varieties are released selected for their yield and late blight resistance. These are the major selection criteria for the research system. And the other recommendations the research system did is shift planting seasons to rainy season, because in the dry season the rainfall status is not dependable for potato growth. So the research system recommends the dry season production to main rain season production. We have 4 growing seasons in Ethiopia: the Balk, Balmer, Mahar, and Masno. Balk, Balmer, and Masno are dry seasons. This one is the main rain season. So the research system recommends, instead of planting potato in these seasons, planting potato in this season using the main new varieties is a good strategy based on the research system. But how is the farmer's response for these research recommendations? The new varieties have not been accepted in most of the farmers as expected. What is the reason behind? Farmers want to grow local varieties rather than new varieties. Farmers still grow potato in the dry season than in the new season. What is the reason behind? So to see those problems, we proposed about 4 research objectives. The first one is assessment of local varieties, their distribution and importance in different agroecologies. The second one, identify farmer variety needs in different agroecologies, cropping systems, and market access. The third one, determine genetic relationship between local Ethiopian varieties with different sources in the world. The fourth one is measure the relative tolerance of Ethiopian potato variety to water stress using screenhouse experiment. So to attain these objectives, we conducted a series of objectives. We'll come to that one. So the first one, the first research activity, it is published in American Journal Potato Research. It says potato variety diversity, determinants and implication of potato breeding strategy in Ethiopia. We did a survey. We did a survey for 6 districts representing different agroecologies. For example, the Ligand, this is a very dry area, and these 2 are moist areas. These are some humid. These are this area is it uses bimodal rainfall and it's cool highland. This is mid-altitude area, and the farmers target to produce potato for the market. And in this district, new variety intervention is in high status. So the survey contains semi-structured interviews, focus group discussions, field and storage observations. So we recorded those local varieties and new varieties. New varieties, which I mean those varieties released by the research system so far. About 14 varieties are grown in different areas of the country, and the major varieties differed between districts. For example, in Shashamane, these Agazar and Nach Ababa are the main 2 varieties, and these varieties are widely marketed in Addis Ababa market. In the northwest, these 3 varieties, Abalo, Sukware, and Samuni, are the main one, and in Gumar and Geta, these varieties are the main one. So we have 14 number of local varieties, and when we come to the new varieties, about 6 varieties are recorded and grown, but 3 varieties are widely grown: Sisai and Gudani and Bellata. From 31 new varieties, only 3 varieties, that is 9% of them, are adopted. So the aggregate area allocated to new varieties is 23%. When you see the number of varieties grown per household, most of the farmers grow potato, more than 1 varieties. For example, most of the farmers in Gumar and Geta grow more than 40% of, or more than that, farmers grow 3 or more varieties. This is for risk avoidance and for some characteristics. I'll come through it within a minute. So each local varieties have its own specific characteristics, and in each agroecology, farmers have varieties for different purposes. Farmers have varieties for drought tolerance. Farmers have varieties for adaptation to low soil fertility, especially in remote areas. In remote areas where chemical fertilizer is not a main issue, a main source. And farmers have late blight resistance varieties, varieties with storage qualities, and farmers have varieties for market and the others. We also recorded potato production practices because this is helpful to understand the farmers' needs. So when we see those farmers who apply fertilizer, especially in two districts, the Banja, they don't use fertilizer at all, and ligand about 58%. And from even from those farmers who use chemical fertilizer, most of the farmers use diammonium phosphate instead of urea. But the research recommendation is both diammonium phosphate and urea is recommended, but most of the farmers want to use only diammonium phosphate. And most of the farmers do not use fungicide for late blight, except Shashamane and Gumare and Geta farmers. When you come to seed source, most of the farmers use their own seed source, especially in Gumare and Geta. More than 90% of the farms used their own seed. Especially in the highlands, market also have its own share, especially in the highland areas. It is quarried above 3,100 meter above sea level, and Ligand, it's also a very cool highland. In these areas, there is no bacteria wilt reported so far. So in these areas, market share has its own play. Okay, the second of our activity is evaluation of genetic diversity of Ethiopian potato germplasm. We collected 44 local varieties with supporting information, that is the traits, the farmers' traits, and for how many years they produce these varieties. So we collected from northwest Ethiopia and southern Ethiopia because these two locations represent more than 70% of the potato area in Ethiopia. So we used molecular characterization and morphological characterization. DNA was isolated from 44 Ethiopian local varieties and 31 SIP varieties. And we did this using CTAB protocol in Ethiopia, and clarified using Quagen in Walter lab, and genotyped in 8,300 SNP marker using Illumina array, and SNPs from 22 American and 70 European clones also included. And from these markers, we used this amount of SNPs. In case of morphological characters, we collected those 44 varieties and planted in the screenhouse and evaluated for the flower characteristic, for stem and other plant characteristics, tuber characteristics, to confirm our DNA structure, DNA result is fine. So from 44 local varieties, about 15 varieties are unique. The rest are duplicates, name duplicates. For example, Sukware, this variety is well known in the northwest. It's also grown in the south. It has 6 names in different areas. It is called Kaidinich in Ligand, Mirt in Mirtzar in Banja, Damas in Kwarit, Dame in Sinan, Atarababa in Ilmana, Kai in Pekoji, and Wera. So I may show you this. This is Sukware. So this variety is widely grown in Ethiopia, and the other one, Abalo, is also widely grown. And this variety, Abadamu, it has a very good tuber shape, but the farmers do not want to grow this variety. It is reported that it is drought tolerant variety, but it has a bitter taste. That is the main problem. And the nech ababa, it is widely seen in Addis Ababa market. This is. So we also grouped Ethiopian varieties in relation to European, American, and SIP varieties. This is SIP varieties group. We have 3 groups based on the cluster analysis. This is the SIP group. This is American group, the black. This is European group. Ethiopian varieties are found in 2 groups, in SIP groups and European group. Especially the oldest varieties like Abalo, Samune, Natbogoro, Drame, these are in the European groups. The latest local varieties is in the SIP group. This makes sense because 35 years ago, Ethiopia introduced potato varieties from European countries, not from SIP. After that, most of Ethiopian research system introduced potato varieties from SIP, and probably these varieties may be derived from SIP sources. The principal component analysis also showed the same trend. The Ethiopian varieties are located in the SIP and European sources, but the American sources are widely distributed, and the heterozygosity also showed American sources are highly heterozygous, followed by European, and Ethiopian sources are better than SIP sources. And when we see the FST test, Ethiopian sources, Ethiopian clones, are closely related to SIP and European than American. So the third activity, it says genotypic variation in potato growth and yield response to water stress during cool and warm season production in Northwest Ethiopia. I told you we have 4 seasons, and we want to test especially those highly drought affected seasons, bulk and masno. We want to test different varieties on these seasons. So we arranged our pots. It is a pot experiment. We arranged the pots in 4 replications. So each treatment has 2 pots. This is irrigated one in the green, red, and the red pot are the stressed one. And we used water markers and tensiometers installed, but tensiometers are not functioning well. We used water markers. Water markers can monitor the moisture level. The moisture level greater than minus 0.03 megapascal will be irrigated. Less than this one will be stressed. But the pots, the plants irrigated uniformly until 40 days, and then stressed again for 41 days, like that. So the result shows that this is Sequoia is a widely grown variety, so we can use this variety as a check. So this is a German variety. It is reported to have good drought tolerance. So no variety out-yielded this local check. But in warmer season, this variety is really, it has a very good potential when compared with this one. 11 gram per plant, and this variety gave 209 gram per plant. It is very good drought tolerance ability. When we see the water stress susceptibility index in the Masno cool season, some varieties, Balada, a new variety, Abatenech, a local variety, it is reported to have good drought tolerance. And Abadamu, I told you previously, these have a very good low susceptibility index. And in bulk season, this variety, new variety, and this German variety has very good tolerance to drought. And
the lower the number, the better, right?
yeah, the lower the number is the better. Yeah. When you see the granule and the pictures, some in the truss treatment, some tubers have a good marketable size, but not this variety. This variety, nut bogoro, it is very susceptible. Look, it reaches 1.5 SSI value, and we cannot find marketable tuber size. When you see the percent unmarketable small size tubers, comparing with the Czech Sukware, this variety, Abadamu, a local variety, this granola, this SIP advanced clone, because we included this variety because it has a good tolerance to drought, and Gera, a new variety released for droughts, stricken areas, has a very good low number of small tubers in both Masno and Belk. When we see the AMI analysis, it is the same trend. This granola, Abadamu, this has they fit well to the warm season condition, to bulk season, and this regime China Sukware is good for Masno or cool season. When you see the correlation matrix, those traits in relation to yield, marketable tuber yield and total tuber yield, those stem weight, above ground biomass, and leaf area ratio have a negative relationship with yield, but harvest index has a positive relationship with marketable and total tuber yield. This is my last presentation, my last activity, identification of farmer priorities in potato production through participative variety selection. This is accepted for publication, and we used PVS approach. The PVS approach uses first situation analysis, search for varieties, and experimentation. This one is related to experimentation because we did situation analysis in our survey, and we did search for varieties in our second experiment, that is evaluation, genetic evaluation trials. Because of this, this study is intended to find out really the local varieties are low yielding. We need to test that. And we need to test that why the farmers do not want to grow in the dry season. And the research recommendation in the wet season, why not? We need to check that. And we need to find out what are the farmers' and variety needs. So we used two districts in the highlands with different agroecology. One is dry and the other wet. And we used diverse set of varieties from local and from new varieties, and we organized farmers research groups. We organized farmers research groups. Each group has 39 members. Each group has its own chair and secretary, and they evaluated the varieties in the flowering stage, in the harvesting stage, and after 3 months after storage. This is the Ligand area. This is the Yilmana area. So we grouped based on gender. Probably we wanted to see the gender issues here. So we recorded those 23 traits. To collect these 23 traits, first we asked farmers which are the best 5 varieties and what is the reason behind. And we also asked them what are the bad performing varieties, what is the reason behind. So all these traits are recorded from those reasons, and we record those reasons, and the farmers evaluated those traits again. So we have male ratings here, we have female ratings in each location. So from here, high yield, long shelf life, because long shelf life varieties are very important, especially these are very determining traits for variety acceptance in Ethiopia. The research system didn't want to see this one. They simply see the yield and late blight. But the farmers really consider this is a very important trait and suitable for sequential harvesting. The farmers want to harvest 2 times at least in one growing season. Drought tolerance, low soil fertility adaptation, especially in ligand. The males are very they have a very good concern in soil fertility adaptation. Late blight resistance, suitability to boiling, suitability to stew. It is for sauce preparation. These are the main traits, and also another traits, market demand, especially in Ilmana, tolerance to wind and hail damage. Thick stems, these are very important traits. So we tested in the field. We tested the yield of local varieties and new varieties. So is really Ethiopian local varieties are low yielders than the new varieties? We can see. Nech Ababa, it is about 24 ton per hectare, but here in the new varieties we cannot get 24. So the new varieties are not low yielding. And in case of seasons, because we tested 2 seasons, the dry season, that is the Belmer, and the main rain season. So those late maturing varieties fit well to the Belmer season, because these varieties need long maturation time. Belmer season is a long maturing period. The short early maturing varieties are fit well to the Meher season, that is the main rain season. So it is impossible to recommend those late maturing varieties to grow in the main rain season. So our conclusion, in case of potato genetic resource assessment, we recorded Ethiopian major varieties. Probably this may be the first report. Their distribution, merits in Ethiopia, number of varieties grown per household, and reasons documented, genetic variation among Ethiopian varieties and outside clones are documented. Our study also negates the belief that Ethiopian varieties have narrow genetic base. So Ethiopian varieties does not have a narrow genetic base based on our study. The yield response of selected local varieties under water stress is documented. This finding also negates the belief that Ethiopian local varieties are low yielding. They are not low yielding, probably because Ethiopian we started with disease tester seed. Probably those seeds probably infected. That may be the reason for low yield. But in our study, Ethiopian local varieties, some of the varieties at least, they are good as new varieties. In case of production systems, 4 seasons recorded. We named 1 season because there was a confusion. We call it Belmer season. So there was a confusion. This Belmer season, some people say It is mahar. Some people say it is called balg, but it is in between. So we call it Belmer season. Differences in growing season between potato growing sub-regions were documented. Major potato production challenges and their importance are recorded. In case of farmers' variety needs, we give answers why new varieties are not accepted as expected. Now we have answers about that. Farmers cited 23 traits are important. Key variety traits differ among agroecological zones, cropping systems, and market outlets. For example, Northwest needs another variety, especially Northwest needs long storable varieties. South farmers need quick dormancy varieties. So there is a difference in demand of varieties. So we have recommendations. These recommendations. It is good to register the main Ethiopian local varieties and prepare an Ethiopian potato catalog with some pictures. Utilize the available major varieties for future breeding. Multiply disease starter seed of major farmer varieties. Incorporate additional quality and stress tolerance trait during variety development. And address the variation in agroecology, cropping systems, market access during variety development. So we have an acknowledgement, international programs office through KAHA programs, because without this program I would not be here. So I thank international programs, Borlaug Leap USAID, Richard Bradfield Award, Presbyterian Church, Inaudi Center, International Potato Center, Ethiopian Biotechnology Research Institute, and these personnel. Thank you, really, thank you so much indeed.
Questions for Semagn?
One question that I hadn't thought of before, which was, you found that only a small number of the varieties you looked at were genetically distinct. It was 14 out of how many?
From 44, we found 15 unique.
Okay. But when you designed your water stress experiment, you didn't know that. That information came later. So were the varieties that you chose for the water stress experiment, were they all unique varieties that were not the same?
Yeah, sure. All of my varieties in the water stress are unique ones. At first we included some, but we removed that later on because we conducted 2 experiments, water stress experiments. So we did that.
You removed some because you found out that they were similar?
Yeah, because I remember we included 2 varieties, that is Kolech and Akimi, and after the molecular characterization, these varieties are the same, and we removed 1, like that.
So as you continue to move on with future breeding programs, what kind of traits will you primarily focus on, or what will be your first traits that you decide to focus on?
That's a very good question. Because in Ethiopian research system, because I am part of it, and we usually focus on yield and late blight. But I understand right now, these 2 are not only the true traits, are not only these 2. Storage is the main thing. Because the farmers want to store for 7 months for food. So, for example, Avalo variety. Avalo is very known variety. The farmers love it because it can stay 2 years in the soil. It's a very unique variety. So storage is the main one, storage trait. And some other traits like drought tolerance, It is based on the agroecology conditions. Market also its own value. For example, when you go in Shashamane area in the southern Ethiopia, if you want to introduce red skin variety, no one uses that one. No one wants to grow red skin variety because it is depending on the market demand. The market in Addis Ababa uses white skin varieties. So the farmers do not accept those red skin varieties like that. So market is also its own share, storage requirements, drought, and dead blight also the major one.
Which of your results do you think will surprise the Ethiopian research community the most?
The first one is the genetic diversity analysis, because in so many reports I have seen that, for example, Sequoia reported 6 times they assumed as new variety, different varieties. So most of the 44 local varieties are considered as identical varieties. So our result shows that most of them are duplicates. This is a very good result, I think so. And the other thing is that local varieties are not low yielding. Our result shows that local varieties are not low yielding, and even Ethiopian local varieties have some diversity within the country. These are really the 2 important messages that is very important for the Ethiopian research program. Did you add more?
Well, now I have a follow-up question. When you began your research, did you think that local varieties were low yielding? And did you think there were so many different local varieties? Well, I mean, there are only a few, but there's a lot of duplication of local varieties. When you began your research, having been an Ethiopian potato researcher for a long time, were you expecting this? Was this a surprise to you too?
Yeah, even those high-yielding varieties of local high-yielding varieties are very few, but they have a good attributes. But you cannot get these attributes or these traits from new varieties. For example, the traits we get from Amaru. Still, we cannot get, we could not get these traits from new varieties or from American varieties, I don't know. And we have also some varieties in the eastern part of Ethiopia. I hope so, especially for drought tolerance. There may be some important varieties, but I didn't test them because I have no time to do that. So in the near future, I'm going to do that. I'm going to collect those local varieties in the eastern Ethiopia, especially the Hararghe areas. And even we have some local varieties in the central Ethiopia. And some varieties are not included in the genetic diversity analysis because we didn't test, we found them after DNA analysis. So I believe some very important local varieties are very good for crossing purpose, but they are very small, but it can be a starting point.
It's great to see that you included women farmers in your study. I wonder if you could help me understand how much decision power they have in determining what varieties actually get planted for the household.
Especially in one location, the farmers told me that the females are responsible for selecting tubers. And they are very good in identifying variety traits. And for example, in a trait, sequential harvesting trait, this is a very important trait for women than men. The women rated this trait higher than the men because they have concern for the food, for the food supply in the ligand area. So they have a power to accept, and they can lead, but we cannot totally say females can decide. But in some farmers and some women farmers have also independent. That is, they have no husband, so they can decide which variety they can grow. So
Might explain what you mean by sequential harvest.
Sequential harvesting, for example, in one growing season, the women goes to the field, especially in the Balmer season. In the August season, during around maturation, but not fully matured, they go to the field and harvest some tubers and cover the soil again. But they do not disturb the roots and the stolons. They took some bigger tubers and cover the soil again. And after 2 weeks, they go back again and harvest some tubers, big tubers. Like that. That is sequential harvesting. That is a very good trait for women farmers because it is a good means for food security. Because in August, you cannot find any crop harvested at that time. That's why potato is a very, very good crop because it matures in August. June, July, August is a very serious months for food insecurity. And it is hungry months, it is called hungry months, these 3 months. So potato is the only crop harvested during that time. So that's why we say potato is a good crop for food security. Yeah.
What can be done about virus in seed? Because when we visited, we saw fields where yield had to be cut by 75% because of all the disease in the field.
Before I included our varieties to our research activities, we tested the varieties for diseases, for 6 viruses and 1 bacteria. And more than 80% of our collection is infected by viruses. That's very sad, really. So, for example, for one variety, agazer, we found from 10 tubers only 1 tuber because we collected from different sources. So only 1 tuber, we found only 1 tuber. So we multiplied the screen out in vitro and screen out to get adequate amount of tubers. So this is really very, very challenging part. And even there is a study, even if we use a clean seed, we can increase Ethiopian potato program by 50%. So most of Ethiopian farms are affected by viruses. And we need to do more about that.
Is the government trying to start up a seed multiplication problem that helps reduce that virus load or not?
There are some seed production schemes, especially NGOs, especially from Netherlands, and they they usually concentrate on new varieties, not local varieties. And we have 2 tissue cultures facilities in Ethiopia. One is in Koleta, it's about 27 kilometers from Addis. The other one is in Bahar Dar. And they are working to multiply probably more than 40,000 minitubers per year. And they focus on new varieties, not local varieties. But after my work, International Potato Center, the people from International Potato Center took some tubers, minitubers from my collection to multiply in larger bases. Probably that may be very helpful for the future. But our capacity is very limited. That's why the farmers use only their own seeds every time. Probably 20 years or 30 years, they usually use their own seed. So that is one of the causes for poor productivity of the crop.
Any other questions for Semagn? Well, thank you very much, Semagn.
Thank you for your comments.
Semagn gets on the airplane at 6 a.m. on Saturday.
This has been a production of Cornell University, on the web at cornell.edu.